Yo, Hegassen here, and One Piece episode 906 is here-ish, because we still have to wait at least another 5 minutes to actually get into this episode. Again, with them flashbacks at the beginning, we pretty much see all of the end of 905 at the beginning of 906, just like an abridged version. Not going to complain too much because we got to see the great Red Hawk animation again, but yeah, we have to wait 5 minutes, and then when we get into it, Otama, she is still falling from when Luffy dropped her to punch Holdem. Holdem is down in one hit, as to be expected. Luffy then goes and grabs Otama before she can hit the floor, showing the absolute speed feats there. And then Luffy and Otama run off towards Zoro and Okiku, who have now captured the big treasure ship. Nice little moments here of Luffy and Otama together as that kind of brother and sister relationship. A lot more of that brother-sister relationship in this episode. There's some really nice stuff between them two until some of Kaido's fodder get in the way. But before we get that, we get a nice little flashback from Otama of Ace, because obviously she saw Luffy's Red Hawk and that reminded her of Ace, and we see Otama kind of, connecting the two, seeing them two as her big brothers, and we get a nice little Ace flashback doing an epic fire punch of his own. That looked great. I feel like the animators are really missing animating Ace, but hey, you know what, animators? There's some Ace novels out there. If you ever want to adapt something to, help the pacing along in Wano, you don't want to do any filler, there's some source material right there. We got some actual adaptation coming up next episode, which we'll talk about a little bit towards the end of this review. So like I said, Luffy, he's running off with Otama. Kaido's fodder is all around him. There's this walrus guy who appeared in like one panel of the manga, I think, and he's squaring down against Luffy, and Luffy takes him out all easy. It looks like he has learned some kicking lessons from Sanji, because Luffy's all about the legs in this fight. He's running through, takes out that walrus guy in one epic stamp. Then sees a horse up ahead. Luffy's like, right, let's grab this horse and we can go over to Zoro. Gets on the horse, but of course we know that it's not a horse. It is Speed, because Luffy only sees the back of it. Gets on. He wraps his arm around her waist. There's a little bit of unnecessary but much appreciated jiggle. And Speed and Luffy getting some banter of like, get off. Are you a horse? Are you a person? What's going on? Some funny stuff there. Luffy says to Otama, hey, why don't you give her one of your Kibidungo? She's like, it won't work. It won't work, big brother. It won't work, big brother, on a human, which is obviously what Speed is. She isn't actually a horse, she's a human, but she is a smile user. Smiles, which are like artificial zones, so maybe it'll work. Luffy goes, go on, give it a try. She does it and it works. Yes, it works. She now has control of Speed, which opens up a lot of possibilities, and also puts Otama in a very bad spot, because when Kaido finds out about this ability, he isn't going to be best pleased. Otama is basically Kaido's worst enemy right now. Kaido's forces, the Beast Pirates, what are they made up of? Well, a load of zones and a load of artificial smile users, a bunch of gifters, and Otama can seemingly control them all with her powers. So all eyes on Otama. Luffy, you better be protecting your little sister. Although we're not entirely sure the extent of how this works. It definitely works on animals. We've seen that. We don't know to what extent it can work on animals though. For all we know, could she like give it to Sea Kings and control an army of Sea Kings, Shirahoshi style? Could she give it to the dragon in Punk Hazard? We don't know yet. We've seen it be used on some big animals. We don't know the extent. We don't know if it's an absolutely massive like Sea King size animal, if it will work. But supposedly it should. But yes, she can use it on animals. She can use it on smile users, it seems. Can she use it on zones? Not sure yet. If she can, then that is definitely something that Kaido should fear, because, imagine she just kibidungos, gives it to Rob Lucci, and then Rob Lucci is her servant. I mean, that could be very powerful. Not entirely sure, though, it will work on zones. With zones, they are still fully human that can then turn into animals briefly, or at least hybrids. With smiles, it's a little bit more complicated. They kind of get stuck in a weird hybrid form. Only like kind of Sheep's Head we've seen kind of control it a little bit, but all of the others we've seen, Holdem, Speed, Batman, they all seem to be constantly stuck in hybrid form. So maybe that's why the Kibidungos are working on them as opposed to other zones. We'll just have to wait and see. Another question is what will happen if she gives one to Chopper. Chopper's a reindeer, Chopper's an animal, but he ate the human fruit, so when he's in human form, is it not going to work? Is it going to work? Again, a lot of questions with Otama, but keep an eye on Otama, potentially fear her, definitely protect her. What do you think about Otama? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you're enjoying this video, hit up that like while you're down there in the comments, and maybe even that little subscribe button. That would be awesome. So Luffy catches up to the wagon, the food wagon, and gets on board, and we cut back over to Hawkins versus Baskethead. Who is Baskethead? Of course it is Trafalgar Law, so we are getting two supernovas clashing, Basil Hawkins versus Trafalgar D Water Law, and the fight's alright. It's a little bit disappointing. It skips away, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, but there are some epic moments in this. I think Law in his basket head looks quite awesome, probably my favourite of the Wano redesigns. Shame that the basket kind of gets stepped on in this episode. Hawkins goes in there, only really uses his saw-strawed. Law showing off all of his abilities. I really liked it when he did the shambles, throwing the stone, switching places with the stone, kind of like Sasuke style, then goes in there to slash Hawkins. Some good stuff. Unfortunately, like I said, even though it's good, even though the animation is great, it does randomly cut away. And it cuts away to Luffy choking on a bit of meat. I mean, really? The fight wasn't really a real fight anyway. The manga is about this long and only a few extra scenes. The injection shot was added in and a few other clashes. But for the most part, it was pretty accurate to how it was in the manga. And like I say, in the manga, it wasn't very long. But I was expecting the anime to draw it out at least a little bit more and show a little bit more. So that is a little bit disappointing. Probably my most disappointing part of this episode. It ends with Zoro coming through with the food wagon. Law jumps on that and starts having a go at Zoro for messing up the plan. We get Hawkins reveal the fact that Jack has been called because of what Luffy did to Holdem, and Jack is on his way down. And that is where it ends, with Hawkins watching Zoro and all that run off. Not even going to bother chasing him. But overall, pretty good episode. Back to that early Wano, that great animation, that nice pacing that we had back in the early days. The last few episodes have been quite bad with the pacing and not as good with the animation, but this was definitely good. I'd give this one probably about a purple tier. A little bit upset by the 5 minutes at the beginning of recap and the opening, and at the end with skipping away from that fight for some Luffy eating some food, which was actually filler. This episode covered the first half of manga chapter 918, and for the most part it covered it pretty well. It was quite accurate, only really added a few extra scenes that kind of filled out the story and helped it flow a little bit better. We had the injection shot, like I said, with Law. We had Luffy fighting the walrus guy, and we had Speed actually catching up with the food cart. The only really one that felt really fillerish, to be honest, was with Luffy eating that meat. So overall, good episode. Excited to see next week's episode though, because we get the Romance Storm, the alternative Romance Storm, one of Oda's early drafts of One Piece, and we get to see a very slightly different take on the first chapter of One Piece, the Romance Storm, with Garp as a pirate. Very much looking forward to Pirate Garp. That is coming next week, taking a little bit of a break from Wano, but that is fine if this just helps the pacing. And remember, hopefully we'll get some more adaptations, looking at that Ace novel and looking at monsters. Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like, and if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!